Okay, now we look at the price elasticity of demand as it relates to substitutes. Complements. As it relates to complements. Okay, so that's the topic of this video. Put that to the side. Let's look at two complements. Let's look at the situation that we have with shoes and socks. So we got shoes and we got socks. Okay, so the more shoes we have, the more socks we need. The less shoes we have, the less socks we need. So let's look at an initial situation. Let's say the price of shoes, $100 each. Quantity demanded, 10 units. What about socks? $1 each. Quantity demanded, also 10. Yeah, don't need more than 10 socks. You got 10 shoes. Okay, so that's our initial situation over there. Let's draw that up. Right, let's put a graph, or well, two graphs in this case, and let's draw that up. So we've got the graph for the shoes, and we've got the graph for the socks. Okay, so price quantity axis. You should know how to do all of this. So we've got a price of $100. Shoes, price of $1, 10 socks. Okay, so this is our initial situation. Okay, and then something is going to change. Come back here. We're going to change the price of shoes. Okay, let's say the price of shoes goes up, increasing the price of shoes. $110. Okay, so we know from the law of demand this will reduce the quantity of shoes. Now people want to buy only 8 units. Okay, notice again the change in price is 0 for socks, no change in price. Okay, so this is the new situation we are in. What happens on the graphs? Okay, so there's been an increase in the price of shoes. $110, 8 units. Yeah. So okay, so how is this situation, how is this going to affect the situation with the socks? Okay, so let's go back to the table. I'll come back to the graph in a second. Okay, so we use shoes and socks together. So what happens is when we're going to buy less shoes, right? We're going to buy less shoes because the price has gone up, so you're going to buy less shoes. We are now going to be in the situation where we simply no longer need as many socks as before. Right? Socks become relatively unpopular because you're buying less shoes. Right? When you buy less shoes, you simply do not need as many socks as before. Okay, so there's going to be a change in the demand for socks. Okay, change in the demand for socks. So I'll move that. Come back to the graphs. Okay, so there's going to be a fall in the demand for socks. D1. Okay, there has been a decrease in the demand. Okay, the decrease in the demand. That's supposed to be an arrow. Decrease in the demand of socks. Right? So at $1, right, because the price hasn't changed for socks, it's still $1. At $1, people used to demand 10 socks, but that was because they were buying 10 shoes. But they are now only buying 8 shoes. Because they're buying 8 shoes, socks are no longer as popular to these people as it used to be. So there's a fall in the demand of socks, which ends up causing a fall in the quantity demanded of socks, right? But initially it was because of a fall in the demand of socks. Okay, and now you're going to end up with less socks, let's say 8 socks. So this is the situation we are in. Okay, fall in the demand for socks, which ultimately will end up causing a fall in the quantity demanded of socks. Okay, right? But you have the fall in the quantity demanded of socks only because there has been a fall there's been a change or a fall in the demand of socks, right? the reaction to socks from a change in the price of shoes is a change in the demand of socks. It is not a change in the quantity demanded of socks. The change in the quantity demanded of socks occurs because there is a change in the demand of socks, but there's only a change in the demand of socks because there's been a change in the price of shoes. Right? Clear as mud, but that's how it is. Okay. So where are we in this situation? Come on. Okay, here we go. So what has happened? Okay, so this is where we were, right? So in the initial situation, the fall in the price of shoes led to a fall in the quantity demanded of shoes, right? Relatively straightforward, right? That is simply this situation over here. I expect you can do this with little problem, right? That the issue is this, right? You have to ask yourself first, when a change in price of one product impacts upon the other product, you have to know whether the other product is a complement or a substitute. Okay, in this case, we've established it's a complement. So what happens? Okay, a fall in the price of shoes means you need less socks. So that will lead to a fall in the demand. A fall in the demand of socks. And as you end up buying less socks, remember, no change in price, you end up buying less socks from 10 to 8, that ultimately is shown or shows that there must have been a fall in the quantity demanded of socks. Okay, but again, don't forget the direction. The direction is the change in the price of shoes affects the demand for socks, which ultimately affects the quantity demanded of socks, right? It's not that the change in the price of shoes affects the quantity demanded of socks. No, it does not. It affects the demand of socks. The change in the demand of socks will ultimately affect the quantity demanded of socks. Okay, so that is the situation with complements.